Hello and welcome to another episode of Shift Happens Catalyst Conversations. And today with me I have Sebastien, who is initiating people into being really themselves, being their own most authentic versions, and also showing this off to the world, showing this on the stage through public speaking. So this is going to be a little bit different, and I guess it's going to be super awesome conversation as well because he really knows how to speak. He really knows how to deliver his message and just be in front of people, in front of camera and microphones and all that. So I'm very excited about it, and I'm very happy
Thank you for
to
having me,
dig in.
Silja.
So
Cannot
welcome,
wait to
Sebastian.
share and curious about how you run this show.
Yeah, I'm gonna improvise as usual, but I have a few key points that I always focus on because this show is about shifts and starting shifts. Because I am the catalyst as a manifestor in human design, I'm very
Mm,
interested in how people go into transformations, how
mm.
to start these big things in their lives. So I would love you to share some kind of a transformation or shift, change in your life. Maybe something that was like a very big thing or something that was like a recent, whatever comes up for you, whatever feels the most aligned at
I
this
mean,
very moment. The floor is
transparent. I'm
yours.
going through one at the moment. Like, I'm very clear. I know that this is another phase of up leveling. And the way I look at transformation, and I used this metaphor recently on a post that people really love. This most people see it as like the butterfly thing. Like we all talk about the butterfly going, like it's a caterpillar going into the cocoon, sits there for a while, and comes out and transforms. But what I feel like is the fallacy of this metaphor is just like it feels like it's one time. Like you are born a caterpillar and you transform into this beautiful butterfly after a very comfortable cocoon phase. I don't think that's how it works. I see it more as the snake shedding its skin. So it's something that happens many times in your life where you have outgrown your current skin, you're still in it, and you realize that if I really want to be myself, I have to break free from that current skin. So if you're asking me about my transformations, I think I also see this as spirals. So you can go back to the same point higher up in this transformation, and then you go through this transformation. So I've gone through so many different transformations. Every time I change career, which is too many times for me to even count. Like I used to be an engineer, moved on to make a documentary about music, and then I started teaching languages. Then I started public speaking coaching, and there were so many different layers. Also in relationships. The way I look at transformation is just a moment where we reached a saturation point in some area of your life where you're like, I've learned everything I had to learn with this. Like, there's no more growth here possible without literally breaking free from that current skin. And the tough part is exposing the fresh new skin to the world. Because this one is very vulnerable and I'm feeling it right now. I'm feeling I'm breaking from an old skin to expose
Wow.
myself with a fresh new skin to the world.
This is so relevant because it's also the year of the snake in the Chinese astrology. So it's kind of like, oh, and I really love that how you say that we are not like, just the butterflies because I agree there are so many transformations and butterflies like you are like kind of this ugly caterpillar and then you're suddenly beautiful and then you're like beautiful forever until you die. But I also feel that there are so many more ugly faces and you go through these ugly stages and you just live through them, and maybe you don't always get more beautiful, but maybe you do. And the ugly comes and goes. The darkness comes and goes, and I'm also like connecting more to my darker side, like also acknowledging I have this, I have the darkness inside me, and it's okay to be that. And recently, in the past week, actually, I feel that I'm also more aligned with not my hero identity, but like the villain. I'm like recognizing, I'm actually the villain. Not like
Mm.
pure evil, but in some ways the villain. So, there are the ugly faces, there are different things, and I really
Mm.
love the metaphor of the snake.
Yeah, and I think your choice of the word ugly is maybe strong, but what I feel like compared like to the cocoon, Like the cocoon feels like, okay, let me just go disappear from the
Mm,
world, like go do a Vipassana and I'll come back transform. I think I'm not sure I'm gonna call it ugly, but it's messy. Let's say that this phase, and I
mm,
realized like you're pretty familiar with the word growth pain. And when we're children, we go through a lot of growth pain, like physical growth pain, like when our teeth come out or the one that fall off, and we have all these moments where our body is really aching. Now, we are children, so we cry our hearts out. Like we have hopefully mommy to take care of us and daddy there to say you're gonna be okay. But but I feel like as we grow as adults, we don't realize because it's not like our teeth fall out, hopefully, but there are parts of us that do. And in that falling out and new parts of us growing, it freaking hurts. And I think we're not accustomed and we want to avoid this pain. But if we see it as like a necessary part of the process, because you would never tell a children like, you know what, if you don't want to grow your real teeth, it's okay. You can keep your old teeth. It's like, no, it's like you have to go through that. So I think it's
mm.
about accepting that growth pain
Yeah.
as part of the process. And I'm literally not talking to anyone else but myself, like to remind myself now that it's okay to go through this growth pain because it's on the other side of this that you have your beautiful teeth that you're proud to show the
Mm.
world, whatever it is that is on the other side of that growth.
Yeah, I would say that I actually seek out the pain, like especially the growth pain, because as an athlete, I'm always pushing in the gym. And now I also went back to running. So I'm like 3 times doing the gym training and then also running 3 times a week. And for me, I haven't run for a while. Like I haven't run seriously for more than 4 years. And it's so painful. I went to the group running class and I was like, oh my God, I can't sprint. I'm so slow. It's horrible. And comparing to the past version of me who was fast, I'm like, ugh,
Mm,
it's kind of painful mentally, physically. But I'm still okay. I know
mm,
it's going to get better because I've been there before and I also trust in the process that when I go through this, it will get better. Running will get easier and I won't be the fast one that I was once, but it will still get better. I will still grow. So I guess it's also about having some kind of trust that on the other side of the pain, there is the better version
mm,
of you, the better life. Because I think we wouldn't just want to just do pain for the sake of pain. We
mm.
also want to have the thing that is
Yeah.
behind the pain, the amazing new version
And
of us, the new
to come
life.
back to the comparison between the child and the adult version, and to follow up on what you were sharing, I think one of the pain is the acknowledgement of aging. Like I'm here at my parents' now, visiting for a bit, and like my
Mm,
dad is 81, my mother's 72. I turned 40 not so long ago. And to realize that the kind of pain that you're going to go through is going to evolve. Like, yes, I am all in for staying fit. I am for pushing strength training or running, but also with the acknowledgement that this is gonna decay. You can do whatever you want, you can keep on, you can maintain it as well as you want. It will decay and it is part of the process. And that the pain or the growth, I'd rather talk about the growth, might go into another direction. So if your child is all vertical,
mm,
like you could say, it's like this outward growth. I feel like with age is also this inward growth where it's about making peace, forgiving, making peace with death and losing grief and losing people around you. And so I feel like there's so many different ways where growth can happen. And I think it's also accepting the change of direction. Actually, one of the evolution I'm going through right now is questioning whether or not the direction I was going is still aligned, even though I work with vision, I set goals, I have a year plan. Who set that? Was it the 30 something year version of me or the inertia of that version of me? Or is it
Mhm.
50-year-old me talking to 40-year-old me saying, this is what we're going to do to be there where we want to be, where I'm happy at 50? Because I know for one thing for sure, there's so many things I want and cherish right now that the 25-year-old me would be like, nah, we don't like these things. And so there are things I don't know yet
Yeah.
will be important for me in the future. And right now in this phase of transformation I'm going through, I am questioning what is momentum based on past self, past identity. So actually, there's a lot of things from my past that I have put aside that I'm bringing back to my center as more relevant because there are phases, and maybe something I'm letting go of now will come back stronger in 2 years, in 5 years. So I like coming back to the pain associated with the growth. A big part of the pain right now is to let go of things I attach in my identity. And it's painful because the biggest pain that is associated with this, and this is where I accompany my clients on that journey, is the unknown, is the emptiness, it's the void. And the what happens when I remove all these things that no longer serve me, that's great. But what happens with the empty space? And like, is the future I really want gonna come in and fill this void, or is I don't want gonna fill this void? So there's this a lot of discomfort in this.
Hmm. Yeah, but I guess first of all, you have to have some kind of void and emptiness in your life, so that then you will have some kind of space that you can fill. I was just organizing my stuff because I moved almost like a month ago, and I was just putting stuff away only last week. I still had books lying around, paper, and I had to buy some new shelves from IKEA and put them together, and so I could just put the stuff away. And it felt so good
Mm,
to declutter and also throw something away. It's like, oh, now I have space. I have everything in the right spot. And it feels so good that it's like, I'm like, yeah, ready. But yeah, coming back to this aging, I could really resonate with this, thinking about aging as a growth and transformation as well, because it has been like more resonating with me recently as well. It's like, I'm not very far from 40, I'm 37. So I'm like, okay, what the hell do I want to do with my life? And also having some questioning, it's like, why am I not at some points already, like, where are my children, where is my family, all these things coming up as well. And also like, okay, realizing, okay, my body is young, I can handle this, I'm not gonna be sick and everything. It's like, of course I have some fear of aging, but it's also knowing that I can do that, I'm gonna be strong and I will make it. And if you just look at the big picture, it's like I will have at least 30, 40 years of life where I'm like fully healthy if I take care of my body. So it's not that bad. It's like just looking at the full picture, not just, oh my God, I'm getting to this 40. It's like kind of scary, but I'm like, okay, actually, there are many decades ahead. There are many opportunities to transform into many different forms of
yes.
myself. So yeah, aging
Mm.
is, it's
I
becoming a
mean, I
giver
have to give
lately.
you a bigger keyword, death. It's like aging is fine. That is a big fear. And like we,
Hmm.
it, I was thinking about this, and obviously, as I was thinking about this, something popped up in my feed to address this. And there was this person to say, like, we all are living pretending that death doesn't exist. And it's almost feels like we're all living and like death is a remote occurrence that happens to others, not even to my
Hmm.
closed ones. And I don't know, I think it's a mix of turning 40 and seeing some things in the world and whatever is happening in my stars, maybe. But it's put forward that idea and actually reflecting a lot on this. I got so inspired on things I wanted to do because you say you have 30, 40 years. You don't know. let's be. I'm sorry to be
I
very frank.
hope.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
Maybe you have another 100. Maybe you have 6 months. We have no idea. And if we're leaving that honesty, I have no idea. Yeah, I can hope and do my best to thrive. But I was reflecting on
Hmm.
this. And it's also a big part of the process I do with my clients because for me, it's about living a life in alignment. And I thank you for how you introduced me. It's about this authenticity because as I was reflecting on that, I first reflected on if I were to die 1 year from now and not 40 years from now and or 50, would I regret? And there's nothing of doing. I've traveled, I've done so many things. Like there's yeah, I could I'm like, yeah, no, there's nothing I could really think of something I wanted to do before I died. There was a lot of things I regret not giving. What like things I would not have told my parents, my book that I haven't written, a talk that I have not given. So there was only things I would not be leaving behind because there's nothing I'm taking with me. So as I was reflecting on this, I really I reconnected a lot with you probably heard of those the top five regrets of the dying, and I recentered myself around those regrets. And the number one, or at least the one that speaks to me the most and align with this authenticity conversation is not living a life true to myself. And I think I have goosebumps thinking about it. It's like I think that is one of the biggest pain. You come to the deadline and realize I lived a life for others, for pretense, for to please, to be loved, but that was not who I really wanted to be or what I really wanted to do. It was based on other people's expectation, or at least the story I had about their expectations. And that felt both heavy and liberating because it's like life is it's still short. Like regardless, even 100 years in the spectrum of time and how fast the years to go by as you age, it's like, what do I really want to be doing? Like, and big thing that is coming up for me is the time on the screen. And I actually wrote a post yesterday. I feel like 20 years from
Hmm.
now, if we do the same investigation, it will be on the top list. It will probably be the sixth, if not the first regret of dying. Spending so much time on the screen and not enough time in real life with people, in nature, doing things with the body. Because this the life is so magnificent, it's so rich, and we've narrowed it down to a flat screen that reduces our connection with our senses. We see less, we hear less, we touch less. So I'm reconnecting a lot with my bigger purpose at the moment and my bigger calling and my hunger for life.
Yeah, it feels like for you it's also important to have some kind of legacy that you leave behind, the things that you create, the people you impact. So just having impact in this world, it sounds like it's important for you. So maybe in a few, I mean, not in a few words, I mean, many words, you can also say how you are impacting people and
Mm,
what kind of transformation are you bringing to other people around you, like your clients and
mm,
anybody that comes in contact
mm.
with you.
I think there's the passive and the active. The passive is who I am. And I think I don't think, I know everyone does that. Like your way of being, like your athleticism, for example, which is something you are naturally embodying.
Mhm.
And even if you judge yourself because you go up and down in like how much committed you are to it, you still are it. You still embody this. And you being this inspires people around you.
Or also
it's an
triggers, I
inspiration.
have noticed. Somebody
It's a
who's not
form of
ready to do that,
inspiration.
they're like,
It's a
I'm
inspiration
quite
because it's like
triggering. Yeah.
it's what you radiate. And
Yeah, and you can't change what you radiate. Or maybe you can, but it's
so
if you're like your
one of
authentic self,
the
it just
biggest
comes true.
transformative workshops I've ever led as a single entity workshop is called The Art of Receiving, where beyond many practices, there's a big one, which is where we practice receiving a compliment. When I say practice, it's a freaking workout because most people don't know how to do it. And it hurts so much that 70% of the people, the one who allow themselves, end up crying every single time. And the reason I know that's one of my gifts with the world because I know how much I've blocked myself from receiving. I'm here at my parents. I see how my parents are blocking themselves from receiving. And I go everywhere and I see how much people are blocking themselves from receiving. And in this practice of receiving a compliment, what's fascinating, because I've led this workshop with 100 people, and so you get compliments from people who know you very well, who are like keen to come and give you a compliment, and strangers who've just known you for the 2 hours of the workshop, who you've not even talked to during that workshop. And you get the same exact compliments from every single person, articulated slightly differently, but people give you back your reflection. And so, why for me this is one of my legacy, and I know, like deep down, I know that if I could bring this workshop to humanity, war would end in a day. Conflicts would end in a day because every conflict, whether it's at scale or in a couple, is based on the fact that people don't receive, so they are seeking for more. So whenever they receive love, appreciation, in whatever form that is, or even money, they don't feel it. I've seen so many people, even clients of mine, multimillionaires, who say like, I still don't feel safe. Maybe when I reach 50 million in net worth, that's will be safe. I'm like, I don't think if you don't work in feeling the money you already have and how much safety is providing you, that any amount will change that. Same with the love. I had a friend who came to me once who was for a week complaining about all the love he was not having in his life. And I'm like, dude, I've been pouring love on you for a week. So often we're seeking for something elsewhere than what is right in front of us. And if we could receive the abundance that is provided to us, and sure, you might not be receiving compliment and money every single day, but if when you do, you push it away or you don't allow yourself to feel it, because like I'll feel it when I'll reach that milestone, which keeps on moving, you'll never feel it. And if you never feel it, you end up in this
It's always
continuous
wanting
feeling
more.
of craving,
Yeah.
which leads to wanting to take from others because well, maybe if I go take it from somewhere else, then I'll have enough. So that is a big thing. And just to link it back to my work, it's like the workshops I lead. It's once you fully receive the reflection of how amazing you are, then you allow yourself to shine your light, and in particular in my work, translate that into your voice and how you articulate and you present yourself to the world to share back that love and everything that you're receiving. And that is for me my big vision, my big legacy eventually is to lead to have so many people shining so much light with their voice, because that's what I specialize in, that will get into a much greater harmony worldwide.
So if people had the opportunity to express themselves authentically, you would say that this will create more
Just
harmony and peace
start
in the
with the
world.
individuals, right? So if I create more harmony and peace within me and I start radiating that at a greater scale and inviting people to join me in that harmony, which I can do actively, but I can also do it very passively, because if if I just am me, I already invite people into that vibration. But if I actively invite people, whatever my magic is through that, to helping people express themselves and speak on stage their truest message. But if for you it's about being healthier and
Mhm.
fitter or more aligned in their and shifting to their new paradigm, if whatever the person is conveying as a message, and we invite more people to join us in that, obviously by ripple effects, we create more peace and
Mm.
harmony. And I don't think you even need to go it's most needed, where it's most troubled. You can start with the people closest to you. And that in turn will create, like, I see it as a net. It's like we're all connected, and if I pull the nodes closest to me and I do this, and it just brings all the net closer, tighter together into that vibration.
Would you give like some examples of
Mm,
transformations that maybe your clients have gone through?
mm,
Because I know that you're like really kind of in some ways resetting people and allowing them to
mm,
really like, receive and to ask for the things that they want and
mm.
also being their more authentic selves. So what are some of maybe the like
I'll
the
talk about
success stories
the one
even?
client. I just did a wrap-up session yesterday after 4 months of working together, and we're already planning on doing more, but the transformation in these 4 months of just the groundedness. Like, you physically, I see he's more grounded, he's more present. His voice has dropped down. So he used to talk with a higher pitch. He's more poised as he speaks, because now he's not trying to convince as much. He knows his worth. And very practically, because of that, he came to me because he wanted to fill up his workshops that he was running on a regular basis. And he would struggle to fill up workshop like at the last minute. Now he just told me yesterday he has his workshop in September and it's already half full. He hasn't even launched it officially yet. Just people are coming to him and asking, because instead of hiding behind a mask of what people would love, is starting to claim what he can really do for people. So he's not apologetic anymore. He's not hiding anymore, pretending he's less great than he really is. And it shows up in all his communication, whether it's a post that he's showing online, an email that he sends out to fill up an event, or one-on-one conversation, or you just finished hosting a retreat and he said, like, I've felt so much more confident to host bigger problems. So instead of being just the surface level of problems that people initially came up for, going deeper and handling this because he feels more his leadership. So for me, like, one metaphor like to use for in terms of archetype is, he's more of a king. Like, he came in more as a prince. He's clearly more of a king now.
Wow, that's beautiful, of course. And so you mentioned that his voice is now like different. So you also give people like some kind of tools how to be on the stage, or is it more about just connecting with yourself? Or what's the balance between this
Mm.
going inside and also like adding these
I
external
love
tools
the
and
question,
techniques
because
to
for
your
me,
being?
something very polarizing. So, if a lot of people who want to grow into public speaking, for example, go to Toastmasters. And I think Toastmasters has a great value if you want to break the ice. But where I challenge what Toastmaster does is a lot about outside in. So it's about the practice, don't say, don't do this, don't do that, do this. For me, it has to come from the inside out. Because when you're confident about your message, when you know, and if you enter what I call this a state of speaking, which is connected eye to eye, you don't have any hesitations. You cannot have those hesitations. You have those hesitations
Mm.
if you go into your head and you're thinking, I'm not sure what is it that I want to convey. Let me think about it. Then it comes up. It's not about the harm. It's about the lack of clarity first, and second, the lack of connection. Because if I'm connected to you, I will know how to myself. Now, and you're right to point out a balance because I do speak about also positioning, use of hands and the body, but I use that more as a reflection and as a mirror for people to see what it feels like. For example, I could use the tone. So a lot of people, when they speak like this with the monotone and whatever they're saying. I went through this very big challenge and it was terrible, and then I had a relief. It went
Mhm.
great. I'm like, I didn't feel shit because it was flat. So I mirror that back to them for them to understand what it would look like if they had a greater emotional amplitude. But the difference is, and I come from an acting background, so you either feel the emotion
Mhm.
or put the emotional mask. So I can do the emotion of anger. The mask, feel angry. And that is very different because when you feel angry, you will express it in a way that
Mm.
will be different from my anger. So it's not about how it shows up. I reflect that back to people so that they see. But in essence, it's about, can you feel your anger that you felt in that moment of your story? Can you feel the one thing that people have really hard time expressing on stage or when they're sharing stories is being lost in confusion, like the moment of darkness, the moment of like, I have no idea.
Mhm.
I'm there, I'm going through that phase. I don't know, I just broke up, I got fired, I have no home. Like relieving that emotion of like, I'm lost. Because the problem is when you're sharing the story, you find the answers. That's why you're sharing the story.
Mm.
But you have to
Yeah.
re-experience and re-share that emotion of loss and confusion because this is where someone in your audience is. And to go really deep on this, people will feel what you feel. Like are vibrationally telepathic, if I may use this word, where if I feel stressed about speaking on stage, people will feel stressed about listening to me. But if I feel confident, they will feel the confidence. If
Mm.
I feel this loss and confusion that I felt in that moment of that story, even if they don't feel it right now, it will activate the memory of that feeling in them. It will start vibrating. So when I actually move the story to the release, they will go through the release too. So this is why for me it's more about what I call story versus storytelling. You leave less words, more
Mm.
emotions.
Mm. So, but I guess very
Oh,
often people don't feel comfortable just showing all these emotions
oh
because
yeah.
this requires like a lot of vulnerability. So how do you get people to this point where they're like, okay, I allow myself to feel in
Yes.
public and everybody will see
I have
that.
goosebumps.
So how
Excellent
do you?
question. There's no magic trick. I'm sorry. On that one, it's courage. But what I tell people is when you're retelling a traumatic
Mm.
story, every single time you get an opportunity to retell the story and relive the traumatic experience, especially if you reshare the emotion and you relive the emotion, you got a new opportunity to heal it. Because
But are you also like reliving the trauma over and over again? Maybe it's, at some
if
point
you
it's also
share
time to
it,
let it
I
go,
would not
or
share
no?
all the stories all the time. You find the story that is relevant. So you don't have to go and reach most traumatic story every single time. But whenever there's and trauma, it can feels like a big word. If you look at it from, I like to words from their emotional charge. It's an impact. Like if I hit my arm against the wall, it
Mm.
creates a trauma on my arm. It's fine. It's a, but it's a small trauma.
Mhm.
So what I want to say here is like whatever phase of your story, but let's say I think the most transformative stories are the most traumatic story. Let's be honest with this. It's like the most, it's the one where you went in your hero's journey, and the hero's journey, there's a phase which is like, it's, if you look at it, there's a visualization of the hero's journey as a circle, where at the very bottom, which is the
Mm,
of the story, ironically, is the abyss. And in the abyss is the darkest part of the story.
mm,
It's a moment where the hero is very close to death, whether it's like a physical death or an ego death. Like it's when the relationship is about to end. It's like when the career is about to end. It's like when you're about to lose the championship, and like the ambition is about to die. So it's darkest
mm.
phase. And the thing is, when you retell that story with the emotional charge of that moment, for me, it's like kind of the Buddhist experience of witnessing the emotion without getting attached to it, where it's a cathartic experience where I can share the
Mm.
emotion, but I'm not the emotion. Because as an actor who goes through the most terrible part of the movie, I also know how the movie ends. So I can fully lean into that experience. I can fully relieve the emotion because I know how it ends. And so actually there, that is where the healing happens, not only in retelling that story, but in like going again and again through abysses and realizing that there's always light on the other side of it. And if I share it and I allow myself to feel the abyss, I'm retelling the story. First, I reprogram my system to understand how to go through that darkness to see the light on the other side. And this is how I got my biggest epiphany. But seriously, as I'm sharing this right now, because I'm feeling somehow I'm going through a certain abyss right now, I'm like, it reminds me that the brightest light always comes after the darkest darkness.
So you have this optimism. You know that it's
But
going to get
it's
better. You know
almost
that already.
more than optimism. It can become excitement. It can become like, I'm going through this. Oh, fantastic. Amazing. Because
Mm.
I know this is what's going to take me to another level of growth and transformation that I could not get through without going through this. And as I say this, I want to be very clear. I'm not saying you have to seek the abyss. It's not like you have to seek darkness and take yourself into terrible situations. But let's be frank, it
Mm.
happens. It happens, whether it's like a relationship ending, someone you love passing away, global epidemic, whatever it is. Like there's something that's going to challenge your status quo and take you into your hero's journey, which will in this abyss. And on the other side of this, and to me, that is wisdom. That is also like we're talking about aging at the beginning. That is, I think, one of the greatest wisdom that comes with age is, if you're doing this right, you can go through this abyss and not being affected by it in a way. You can see your little human going through this and all this turmoil, and at the same time be like, interesting. I cannot wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what kind of old person I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
Maybe even. Yeah, I would also resonate with this that sometimes when I'm like in a very bad situation and I don't know how it's going to end, I even tell myself, okay, it's super shit right now. But one day it's going to be like a cool story to tell. So this also helps me to
Mm,
go through that. I'm like, okay, I really hate it in this moment right now, but this is going to be a story. And when I get to this point that, okay, it's going to be a story, I kind of
Mm,
like get this energy
mm.
to move on and move
I
through
love that
it.
Julie mentioned that once in a talk and stayed with me. It's like you're a speaker. Whatever thing is gonna happen to you might become a story for the stage. How do you want to tell the story? I mean, he was telling about
Uh,
a story about where something bad happened at an airport, like nothing terrible, but like baggage loss or something. It's like if I'm going to tell a story, do I want to be the asshole of the story or do I want to be someone nice in the story? But it stayed with me with something much wider. It's like, and I love what you're saying. It's like if I'm looking at this from the perspective of a speaker, which I think we all are. Like if you're going back in time where the elders were sharing wisdom around the fire, like no matter how big your audience is, we are speakers. We're going to share our story one way or the other. So as you're going through these moments of challenges, you can have these, hmm, how do like if I'm the writer of this story, if I'm the author, because you're both the actor, the director, and the writer, like all these parts of the production of your movie called life. What would I like to see next? How would I like the hero to be going through this? And so it gives you position because it's not so much also about the action, but like the reactions that these challenge. Like, do I let the hero of this movie be completely overwhelmed by it? Do I actually allow him or her hit rock bottom for him or her to go fully through that transformation and not postpone some part of like metaphorical death to happen and to be postponed to another abyss? We're like, no, let's go all the way down. Let's go all the way down. And so that we come out of this like fully transformed.
Yeah. So going back to like acting and being on stages, maybe you can
Mm,
share how you ended up on the stage in the first place. Some people might be like, okay, I would really love to speak on the
mm.
stage, but where do I even start? So I guess for you, it started with acting and then it's kind of like turned into stages, or how was it actually happening?
Actually, it did start with acting. Now that you mention it, because even like in my high school, I did take part in some plays, but I that's not how I see it. I think, and the reason I want to share it differently is because I want to speak to someone listening who might have felt the way I felt. Is I always knew I belonged on the stage. There was something in me that was like, I want to be doing this. It's almost like I had vision of me doing this before it happened. And there's still visions I have seen that I have not manifested yet. And I'm like, this is gonna happen because I see it too vividly for it not to happen. So very specifically, there was this moment I was in my engineering school and there was this public speaking class. And that was the first class that really interested me. So that was the information. And there was something even greater. It was this feeling of like, I can do a better job than him. I had never been even remotely close to doing anything linked to this, but I could intuitively know how to do something better than he was doing. And with all love and respect. But I feel like when you see someone on stage and you have this feeling like, I could do a better job, you see, and actually it doesn't have to be on stage in whatever field, but when you feel this calling of like, why is it not me there? I think that is God speaking. It's your future you speaking. However you want to look at it, it's like this calling expresses itself in that voice. So first I wanted to share it like that. And to me, it's really manifested through, so I speak 12 languages and I had this language school and we decided to start doing workshops. And I immediately felt home facilitating workshops. And very quickly, an opportunity to do a TEDx showed up. And it was not that they invited me. The opportunity was there. I was like, I'm doing this. And I made it happen. And my first talk ever, because before that I never had done really a talk. I freaking rocked it. I have still more than 300,000 views, and that was views good preparation, but clearly when I watch it with all my 10 plus years of experience now. And so I think that if you feel the calling, you're meant to be doing it. Like, I want to start with this. And second, I think is you're never going to be as good in your first years as you're going to be in your 10th year. And you're never going to be as good in your 10th year as you're going to be in your 30th year. So I think it's about starting the journey. But if you feel the calling to own it, claim it, go for it, because there's so much more that is awaiting. One thing I'm realizing, ironically, as a public speaker and public speaking coach, is I'm actually less attracted now to public speaking than to facilitation. Because in facilitation, I can still do talks. Like, if it's a 3 hour workshop, I'll have many TEDx's in that. But I'll have so much more opportunities to create transformation with interactions within the people. I feel it's so much more transformative when I have 3 hours with 100 people than 20 minutes with 1,000 people. And so I discovered that about me. That's my way of being on stage, and I feel much more calling doing this.
So you really feel good when you're guiding people, like getting
I
closer
feel
to them
much
and
more
guiding them.
like a conductor personally, like making the orchestra play than like 100% preacher, like I just talk and that's it. I think for me, it's more about creating this collective. And this is how I actually even teach public speaking, because it's like getting the whole audience to sink into one state.
And also kind of like seeing the impact immediately, like how they're like getting in sync. Because if somebody's just sitting in the audience and listening, you don't know what's going on inside them, and you don't see if they are starting to transform or not. But if you facilitate the workshop, I guess
100%. I mean,
you
you
can
can
see
still do
something
this in a
happening
talk.
immediately.
You can still do a lot of things in a talk. You can integrate a lot and create transformation in a talk. But just because of logistics, time, and space, I can tell people to do something even during a talk. They can interact, but there are some things that happen with time. And I find like workshops retreats are even better for transformation, but it's harder to get 100 people at a retreat. You can, but it's more challenging than getting 15. And you can easily get 100 people in a workshop for 2 3 hours, lower commitment, and you can still create so much transformation. So much transformation. I've led so many work that people still talk to me about years later, and they don't have to, because I remember how transformative they were. Because like it's the thing is like the transformation happens during. It's not an inspiration or a motivation for people to go transform after the transformation has happened. When people try, which is sometimes the first time in years, it's a transformation. If they receive the compliment now, in the moment. If they break a board, which I've led, or like I've led some fighting things where like you have to fight your way through a tunnel of people holding you back, you embodied the transformation too. It's not just here, it's not even just here, it's in your whole body.
Do you have any kind of preference what kind of people you like to have in your workshops, or also as one-on-one clients? What kind of personality or mindset
My
your
ears,
people?
the ones that are going to pass on the impact. Because that's just how I feel I make the greatest impact, is in turn to pass it on. I mean, I don't mind impacting any other people, but when I know that these people are, and I'll be very frank with you, I have this inner joke where for me, my vision is to train an army of messiahs. It's like very direct. It's people that have a message of love, of expansion, of growth that they want to pass that on and they are ready to lead movements. These are my people because this is how I believe I can personally create the biggest impact possible. Because then I don't have to impact a million people. I can impact just 1,000 people who impact people themselves, and that's a million people. And I think for me, thinking at scale also of how much of a difference I can make is sovereignship. It's like being a king, it's being a queen. And if you see things in the world that you believe could be done better, and that other people are not having these second thoughts and doing a bigger impact than you that you believe is harmful, I believe it's your responsibility to step up and amplify your voice to make a difference.
So it's not about doing everything by yourself, it's also about
Yeah.
delegating and initiating other people. You don't want to have all this honor for yourself that, okay, I'm going to impact billions of people. It's like, okay, I'm just going to train these messiahs and they will
And that's the thing.
just
It's like,
spread the
I
impact.
think, I mean, I'm trying to use this word very lightly because it's heavily connected. But I thought Messiah came from the root of it doesn't. So that's why I'm not using it less because I like the idea of where I receive messages. I'm reading a book of Yogananda, autobiography of a yogi, who's talking so much about his masters. And by reading his book, he's becoming my master, and from him, what he received from his masters, who are received from his masters, and I'm passing on that knowledge and wisdom in my way, in my language, to people who will pass it on to people, who will pass it on to people. So it's not about one being on top. It's more about raising everyone to their to being voices who can make a difference. I don't think I would want to work with someone who wants to be above everyone else. It has to be about raising leaders who can in turn pass on the impact. Because regardless, I'm gonna go. Everybody's gonna go. So we might as well raise the leaders who we want to be running the show after we're gone.
So, like, really leaving a strong
I
legacy
think
behind
in
you.
essence we all want to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
I think everyone, especially as we age, connects to that. Some people connect to it earlier, some later. The challenge is to because some people want to leave a legacy by having a building named after them. That's like how they want to be remembered. But the thing is, in my belief, like when you're gone, you're gone. It doesn't matter. Like I'm not gonna take pride in the tomb. So my bigger message is, in essence, and I think it's something that came to me well with my experience of speaking 12 languages, is we all want the same freaking thing. Like I could keep on learning languages, but I realize in essence, everyone wants the same thing individually, but also collectively because we are one organism and like if one part of the world suffers we feel it and we suffer and we can be in conflict but when we come into inner harmony we just want harmony around us. I don't see someone who feels so happy and so in love that does would not want others to feel the same and all others, not just a subset of humans.
Okay, beautiful. So if anybody wants to work
The
with you,
best
where
place for
can
now
people
is
find
platform
you?
Instagram, where I share on different insights. As you see, I'm like not narrowed down to just public speaking coaching. I love to see things in a more philosophical approach like this. But in the essence, this is where I talk to the people who want to lead the movement. And if they want to work with me, to reach out. I'm in the phase now where I want to make it easy for me to serve and for people to be served by me. So I'm trying to simplify and having the different formulas so that it's not as inaccessible that it used to be, because it used to be a very high bar to of entry to work with me. So like from courses to one-off sessions to group offers, there's a variety of options that make it very easy for me to help people to step
So you're getting really close to people. I guess you were also
of both.
building a
Okay,
course.
so there's one on pricing. I'm actually writing on the languages, and so there's many resources also on speaking that you can access to. So best way, you go to my Instagram, see what's there, DM me, always answer. I might improve my system when there's too many requests, but I still always answer to people.
Amazing. Okay, so thank you for these insights and thank you for letting us have like little peek into your world and how you think about. And I really hope that you will have like a strong legacy and impact many people who will in
Yes,
turn
thank you so
impact
much.
many others.